Hi, good day. My name is Jeremy Bisisar and today we will be talking about computing platform. So in the modern world, digital technologies have taken over and they are one of the biggest part of technology. Nowadays, computing platforms are used for numerous purposes. They are core parts in creating the most of digital and cyber products. With so much development of cyber world over the years and so much popularity and attention for computing platforms, anyone who is looking to work in the cyber industry or is simply interested in the cyber world should know what are the most common and widely used computing platforms. Until we get started with the list, first of all, we need to make it clear what a platform is in the digital and cyber world, how it is used, and who needs it. Okay? When we say a platform, it is a tool set which is used to build, modify, maintain, and monitor services and products used in the cyber world. Such a platform can be many things, including cloud infrastructures, APIs, user interfaces, and everything else that can be used for configuring, developing, building, and maintaining products. Computing platforms are usually used by IT specialists, development agencies, developer groups, or single developers. Developers who use such platform includes software developers, game developers, web developers, software as a service developer, platform as a service developer, and others. Now, we can explore most common computing platforms and how they are used. Let's start from cloud computing or cloud platform. Cloud computing platforms are one of the most evolving types of computing platforms for the last decades. Nowadays, cloud computing is no longer just a future technology but a new way of development and deployment in present times. Cloud computing platforms are widely used for different purposes by many kinds of users, including developers, IT professionals such as like us, and companies. As it is cost effective, easy to access, very flexible, and very secure platform. Its popularity is growing every single day. More and more companies start to use it to store and process large data. So cloud platforms offers a complete environment for all cloud-based services, full tools for development, management, and maintenance of any services that is available digitally. It is also common among these platforms for projects that requires large data transfer and on-demand resources. Today, service providers and enterprises are interested in implementing clouds face the challenge of integrating complex software and hardware components from multiple vendors. The resulting system can end up being expensive to build and hard to operate, minimizing the original motives and benefits of moving the cloud computing. So cloud computing basically platforms are attractive because they let businesses quickly access hosted private and public resources on demand without the complexities and time associated with the purchases, installation, configuration, and deployment of traditional and physical infrastructure. For architects employed with building out cloud infrastructure, there are 7 key requirements that needs to be addressed when building their cloud strategy. And these requirements includes the following. Okay? So we have first, number 1, heterogeneous system support. Number 2, service management. Number 3, dynamic workload and resource management. Number 4, reliability, availability, and security. Number 5, integration with data center management tools. Number 6, visibility and reporting. And the last one is administrator, developer, and end user interfaces. That's according to the reference below. So, next, we have operating system. It is one of the oldest and one of the most common and still one of the most needed platform types is the operating system. So used in all kinds of digital and cyber industries, operating systems are essential tools to host hardware and help apps, games, extension services, and etc. to run smoothly with the hardware. So the operating system is the ultimate platform for the development of apps, games, and similar digital goods for smartphones, cell phones, personal computers, and many other gadgets. So to get better or to get a better idea on how important an operating system is, we can look at how phone apps are created, the process of their creation, and the role of OS in it. Okay. When a developer or development team starts working on a phone apps, the first choice is to decide which OS their apps is created for. For the modern days, two of the most popular mobile operating systems are Android and iOS. They own more than 95% of the mobile OS market. After the developers have made their choice of the operating system, they need to choose the programming language compatible with the OS and to follow instructions and requirements by the operating system to make sure their end products or the apps or either a game will be 100% compatible with the OS. Without the SKD and help from the operating system, developers cannot develop products for it. That's how important a good platform by OS is. So below are the examples of the minimum versus recommended system requirements for a Windows application. Okay, we have number 1, OS. We have Windows 7 with SP1, but the recommended is Windows 10. So number 2, we have CPU. We have Intel or AMD processor with 64-bit support, but it is recommended to have 2.8 GHz or faster processor. Number 3, for the GPU, we have NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 or equivalent, but the recommended is NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 or Quadro T1000. Number 4, we have for the disk storage, we have 4 GB of free disk space. Number 5, for monitor resolution, we have 1280 by 800, but the recommended is 1920 by 180. So for the internet, of course, it is recommended to have internet connection for software activation. Okay. Now let's proceed to clients and server platforms. Another very old and common types of platforms is client and server platforms, which is mostly used in web world but also quite common for softwares and apps which requires internet for a certain job. Server platforms are used to receive requests or data from a client's web browser or apps, process it, and send back that requires data. Such platforms are essential for any website, online games, internet-based apps, and softwares. So there are client system requirements for this platform. We have on client computers or we also have FH Enterprise is supported on the following operating system. We have Windows 10, Windows Server 2008 and 2008 R2. We also have Windows Server 2012 and 2012 R2, and we have Windows Server 2016. And we have to remember, FH Enterprise is compatible with mostly Windows 64-bit operating system and new installation of Windows. machines upgraded from 32-bit system to 64-bit system have demonstrated problems and are not recommended. So the following are network libraries supported for these client system requirements. We have named pipes, TCP or IP. We also have multi protocols. We also have IPX and SPX. For the FH enterprise clients must have the following hardware. We have the following variable component, then the minimum requirements, and the recommended one. So for the processor, the minimum requirements for that is Pentium 600 MHz. Pentium 3 is also compatible, but it is recommended to have the faster processor. So we have another component, which is the RAM. The minimum requirements for that is 4 gig, but it is recommended to have 8 gig or more. Okay? Another component is hard disk space. The minimum requirements for that is 2 gig. There should be 2 gig available. And the recommended, of course, higher, which is 6 gig available, which is better. So for another component, which is video resolution, the minimum requirements for that is 800 by 600, but it is recommended to have 1920 by 180. Because your hardware requirements may be higher based on the number of concurrent users or other application running, server configuration, and network configuration. All requirements are subject to change. Okay? Now let's proceed, but we have to remember these tips. Use an uninterrupted power supply or UPS with client's computer in case of power failures. It really helped a lot. Okay? Now let's proceed to hardware platform. Okay, hardware platforms is essential for most of the products that are available in the digital world, as hardware is the back-end machine that handles all. A line of hardware products that are compatible with one another creates a complete hardware platform used by dozens of different kinds of users. So usually, hardware vendors try their best to maintain backwards compatibility as long as possible to ensure each product that they produce can be used to effectively replace older. We have the system requirements for this platform. Number one is the operating system. Of course, it is very important, as I have mentioned in the previous top slides. We also have number two, available ports. It should have USB, Ethernet, and etc. It should have also wireless connectivity. And the last one, it should have a minimum GPU for display and graphics hardware. Okay, so to the question about what specific type of operating system computing platforms belongs in general, it is a server type operating system because it requires inputs from the user in order to provide an output. So here are the references for all the data that I have presented today. I hope that you learned something out from this report.